Hi. Hello. Hi, how you doing out there? Hello. Nice for you to see me again. Or I see you or I'll see you again. Maybe if I see you're commenting, I'll see your comment or I'll see your username. See you sometime in the future, see you in the past, see you in the present. Well, it might be a little bit of a half a second delay. So you're really not making a video in real time because there's a delay between the time you record it from your camera to the time that it's being broadcasted. So, but I signed up for YouTube Premium. You know, I like YouTube, right? I watch movies, I watch commentary, I watch educational, I watch just random stuff sometimes, and First Amendment auditors. I watch anti-natalists. I watch the silver stackers. I watch the stock market and try to keep up with that and the in people that talk about economics, um, which really haven't keeping up with that too much lately. I'm at the point now where I might I might get I might change the way I'm investing, at my age. So now, if you're somebody that's younger, that's in your 30s or your 40s, then the stock market might be better for you. Whereas somebody that's at an age where they can't recuperate their capital losses, if their capital losses because it takes time, if the markets go in a downturn for any length of time, let's say more than 3 or 4 years during a presidential um, term in office, if all of the stocks that you bought before Trump was elected, right, all the stocks you own, and then when Trump was elected and he got into office, then all your stock went down in value. The stocks that you owned. I mean, there might be specific companies that in my own portfolio, I have specific companies that did hardly went down at all because of tariffs. So, like utilities, and but surprisingly, Rubbermaid and which I have stock in that Newell brands. So they make Sharpie markers and they make a Rubbermaid products, and I like Newell brands products, so I have some shares in that. And I'm a little bit disappointed because I thought Newell brands would go up. I mean, meaning that they're based in the United States, but maybe they still do outsourcing in China. I'm not sure about that, but I'm a stockholder in Newell brands. But what happened is I'm having to move, and it's costing me a lot of money to get to where to the place I want to move to. It's different when you're older and then you retire and you're on a fixed income. Um, it's harder to get loans if you're working full time and you have a full time job and you want to get a mortgage or refinance or HELOC or that. That's easier to do if you have to show you have a certain amount of income. But if you're like poor like me, I mean, I'm in the poverty zone, right? I'm under like 20K a year. I make less than that. And to have most of my capital tied up in the stock market or stock markets with an S, which is 80% of what I have as far as capital that I have is in savings. It's 80% in the stock market. And that's pretty dumb for somebody that's sick, almost 66 years old, and they have that much in the stock market. It's a risk, it's a higher risk. And then you have a longer period of time. If the market goes into a downturn, it's going to take you more time to get to recover to where the investment will it'll pay off, because it's a cycle. If it's a cyclical market, maybe for a specific type of industry more than another type of industry, Yeah, I have shares in Adobe, and I bought shares in Adobe back in 2016 or 2017. And they were like under $200, I think, a share, under 100. And I held on to those. I held on to them. I held on to them, Adobe, and they didn't pay any dividends, as far as I know. I don't remember them paying a dividend. Maybe they had a special dividend they did, but I'm not regularly. No, they didn't never did dividends, as far as I know. And it went down. It was like 500. It was almost over $500 a share, and now they're so. It's scary, You're an old person. You got your money tied up in the stock market, and it's going up and down, up and down, up and down, and you're like, oh, you're getting nervous because you're going to need the money because all of a sudden you're going to be elderly and you're going to need like um, in-home care. You're going to need to hire a nurse to take you, or you're going to have to go into a nursing home. And your Social Security may not be enough to cover going into a nursing home when you get elderly. So it's like shit, stuff like that you got to think about when you're my age that you wouldn't think about when you're younger. I'm trying to avoid doctors too. I mean, I eat right, get enough sleep, drink plenty of fresh water, get exercise. Um, don't overdo anything, Whatever you do, just do it in moderation. And then you got to listen to your body too. If you're aching, if you're hurt, if you're doing something and it's tiring for you, and then you're hurting afterwards. Like I have a problem with my elbow now, in my joint, right on the end of my elbow. It's sore right there, right near the elbow end. It's sore, and I think I might have like pulled on a tendon, or it's stretched a ligament there, or have a tendon getting had a did something and it injured my tendon. So I've been like careful about using too much strain, putting too much strain lifting with this arm and pulling, and it's a pain. And then I'm trying to declutter. I'm trying to move, and I don't want to move with a bunch of stuff. I want to get rid of a lot of stuff first, and then move, because it's so expensive. Storage units and moving vans. You by the time you're at the box truck and you got a storage unit wherever you're moving to, it's like almost $1,000 for like 2 months, or less than 2 months. So you got to have a moving van, you got to rent it, and then you got to make arrangements of where you're going to drop your stuff, where you're going to put all your stuff when you move it out of your living space. So you're moving to somewhere else, and you're moving from a big space into a real small space. That's another problem that I'm having right now. Because right now I have almost 1,200 square feet, but a 2-bedroom, 1 bath and a den house, and I'm moving into a 493 square foot house, cabin, I should say, or cottage. You call it a cottage. It's got one living room and the kitchen, is the same, and in the same room as a living room, and then there's one bedroom and a bathroom, and then there's a patio on the front. There's a part of the house that protrudes out. The roof of the house protrudes out, and there's a front porch, and then there's a sliding glass door off the back of the bedroom in the back. Yeah, they called me today and they said, "Hey, you got to come up with the money. You can't. We have your other people are interested in this. So if you don't buy it, we're gonna sell it from underneath you, and you ordered it already. You got earnest money on it." So I ordered it. I gave them I had to give them a date, a time frame of when I'm gonna have my capital to when I liquidate a lot of my stocks, and use some of my other savings in that and pay for the house, which is like $57,000. And it includes like transportation costs from when they move the house to the site to put it on the site. It's a single manufactured home. And this will be the second time in my life that I purchased a manufactured home. The first time I bought a double wide, and that was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and had that built in a on private on land, right? So these double wide manufactured homes, most people see them in a trailer park where they're leasing, where they live in their double wide, but they pay lease on the property underneath it. So this is not. So when I bought a house, it was on land. I owned the land and the house. They were considered one piece of property, right? Not just a trailer that's not attached and fixed to the permanent foundation on the property, which I'm doing again. But this time I'm buying a single wide. It's just for me. I mean, all I'm going to have is myself living there, so I don't need a lot of rooms. And where the house is, it's on a bigger piece of land too. So it's south of where I'm at, so it'll be a little bit warmer. And it's like I have to like minimize I have to think like just completely declutter my house. I have to clear away a lot of stuff that I don't use and throw it away or give it away or sell it. And I'm like looking at all the stuff I have, and I'm like thinking, what am I going to do with this stuff? What am I going to do with this stuff? And I just think, well, should I rent like one of those pods where you pay them like, it's like $300 a month, and then they deliver it, and it's all you can shove all your stuff in that while you're in your moving out of your place as a temporary storage unit right there on your own property. Or I think actually have them move it also once you pack it. You have a choice in that regard. And I thought, well, I could buy a shed, right? And then if I'm going to have it for more than 6 months, I could probably buy just a shed at Home Depot and use that for storage. And then I don't know. Yeah, so yeah. It's interesting because there used to be a lot of people that would come onto YouTube and just talk about their life or just what their own. It wasn't so. People have to try so hard to be impersonal. It's like there's a rule that says don't be too personal like that. So if somebody's like too personal, there's like something wrong with that. That doesn't. It's not normal for people to make a YouTube and be too personal. Or people are very guarded. They're very protected about what their real identity is, or what their real beliefs are, or their political position is. And when I had a job and my coworkers knew I had a YouTube channel, and my boss knew I had a YouTube channel, and my neighbors knew I had a YouTube channel, and all of my cousins and nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters and parents and aunts and uncles knew I had a YouTube channel. It was like, so it was not, to be transparent. It's like, well, I could sit here in this room by myself and ruminate and just have my own thoughts and think my own thoughts and not be exposing bearing my soul out in the world and exposing myself of how I was thinking at the time and my mood that I was in, and reveal a part of my personality that I wouldn't normally reveal unless I was like had a one-on-one, or was in a group of people, like at a church or at a wedding or at like a funeral or at like a baby shower or at like not the only time you're ever going to sit down one-on-one with someone is if you have a specific service that you're needing to have done, like if they're like a loan officer for a bank, right? So you got to talk about why they should give you a loan, or why you think you're qualified for the loan, which they only want the numbers, and then they'll give you a response back just looking at the numbers. They have everything's in a formula for loans and mortgages and HELOCs and that. So if you're like low income, so for me, my situation is I'm low income, but I have a lot of equity. Does that make sense? Does somebody out there can understand why that creates a problem when you're trying to borrow money? But they just look at you like you're stupid, that you're just going to spend all that money that you borrow, and that you won't keep any in reserves for making the payments as you go along. So if you think, okay, I'll just borrow this amount of money, right, and I'll leave it in an account, and then when I need it, I'll draw off of it. And I won't draw 100% of it. I'll just portion it out as I need it in the project that I'm working on. But these bankers, they just see you as an idiot, that you're just going to go to Las Vegas, or you're going to buy a really expensive car, or take a expensive vacation or something like that. They don't see that you have a piece of property that you have on contract, and you in escrow closed, and you have a large portion of that you put down on, and so it's an owner carry, and then you're ordering a building that's already built, and you're going to have it set up on the property, and you're trying to get all the building permits for the property. You're going to make sure that everything's the driveway is clear enough, and that there's enough clearance around where the house is going to go in and be set in place, and then it has to be all drawn out and then dimensioned to where the edge of the property is, where they're going to put the house, and there's an existing derelict building there that needs to be torn down, and the only way you can tear that building down is you need an approved building permit for the new building. So once you have an approved permit for the new building, then they issue a permit for the tear down, for tearing down the existing building that's on the property. But they won't let you tear it down until you have a building permit for whatever else you're going to put in there, and it's been approved. And then I'm using my savings to I bought the land. Okay, I bought the land, and I put a big percentage of what I did, what the land costs, I put down on the land, and it's carried on a 3-year balloon on a 30-year fixed 8%, and it's scary. It's really scary because lenders are contacting me, right? I went to Google, and I searched for mortgage and HELOC and that, and I filled out a form, and then I got call after call after call after call from all these different lenders, and it was always the same. I would say, this is my credit score. I have homeowners insurance. This is where the property. This is my address. This is how much income I have. And when I jump through all these hoops, right? They want to know this and this and this and this to mortgage, because I want to use my home that I have now. I want to get the equity out of that to get the building completed where I want to move to, and then sell the place I'm in and pay the loan off. And it's like, it's weird, because even though I have a contract with a realtor and I'm listing my property, and it hasn't been appraised yet, though. So maybe I need to just arrange to have it appraised, and then use that appraisal as leverage. And then when I'm looking around, when I start inquiring to different banks and lenders about a HELOC or a mortgage, then I have that as another. I have it in my arsenal for being approved for a certain amount on my loan. I always thought you go into a bank, right? And you sit across the desk from the lender, and you prepare all your documents. You bring all your documents before the and that you see that, okay, this is the house that I ordered, the manufactured home. I ordered this manufactured home. This is the land that's already gone through escrow that house is going to be built on, and here's the amount that's going to take for to finish the construction and bring the house and set it up and put it in place and connect it and have it ready to be moved into. And here's my income, and then boom, that's what strikes it down. That's when they say, sorry, we can't help you, you don't have enough income. Even though I own my house, right, the house I'm in right now, I own it, and I want to use the equity that I have in place to finish the construction project, which has already been like all the permitting and the testing of the and this and putting a well in and testing the septic system and having it and clearing it and all that and paying to have it. Uh, and now I have the road that has to be finished from the main road to the driveway. I need to put in skirting or put in an apron of gravel from the road to my driveway. So yeah, so now I got that, and I had a fire permit. So the fire department signed that off on that to say that where the house was going to be, it wasn't going to be there wasn't no risk of a fire where the house was. And then there's a surveyor that I had put on a retainer to do a survey of the elevation for the building site on the lands on that one footprint where the house is going to go. They have to make sure it's so high above sea level, and then that way they can gauge that height from other land features on the property, like a bank of the creek. Because the creek bank, they want to measure from the height of the creek bank to the height of what the finished floor is going to be, because it's in a flood zone. So that has to be determined, and I'm waiting for that. It's going to cost me another $1,400 for them to finish that. But they got to make drawings and write a letter to the county. It's scary, and I'm spending a lot of money out of my pocket, and I'm like burning through my savings to get the project. And so now I'm at the point where if I don't, because I bought a model. I didn't order a home that had not been built yet. So I had it. There was a single wide at the home builder. They had a dealership site. There's a model there, and I put the earnest money on the model and signed the paperwork for that. For that specific home that was already built. It's already there on the lot. They're using it for a display, and so the price was like, it was built in 2023. So it was like the inflation prices weren't put into that as much as today's. If I had that same house built today, it would be like they're saying it'd be like 15 grand more. So 10 to 15 grand more than that house that I'm having it. And it's got everything in it. It's got a stove. It's got a refrigerator. It's got a water heater. It's got a nice little bathroom with a shower. It's got a bedroom. It's got a heating. It's got heating in it. It's all brand new. It's a brand new single wide manufactured home. It's got two exterior 2x6 construction, so it looks like a solid framed home. It's really small. It's small. Oh my gosh. And from here to this place, that's huge compared to that place. That place is like one third as big as this living space I'm in right now. So I'm kind of like, and then I have to move too, and I'm looking into how much it's going to cost me to rent a moving van and storage and that. It's going to be. Well, I'm getting old, and I'm like, I only live here because I had a job here. Now, I moved several times because there was work. There was no work where I lived. I had to move, and I ended up here when I worked full time. I was 15 minutes away from my job. So I bought a house locally to my job. And then now I'm old and I don't need to specifically live here. I would rather live near family as I get old. I'm just getting old here. And I'm like, I'm not a member of any club or organization. I don't go to any churches or social functions. I'm not involved at at all in the community here where I live, so it doesn't really give me much. I don't feel like I'm losing something moving from here. I do get depressed though because I think about bird feeders, right? I put hummingbird feeders out. I feed the squirrels. Um, I feed stray cats sometimes, not all the time. Um, and I like take care of my yard. I have it. It's all like I have fruit trees, and I'm proud. I'm somewhat proud of my place. I like it. I enjoy living here, and it's kind of depressing because wow, I'm not gonna. I have to give this up. You have to kind of let go. If you're gonna sell and move on and buy another place, yeah, it's hard to do for me. I'm even being emotional about, sentimental about things. It's like I've always been that kind of person. I'm just too sensitive. I'm too like sentimental. I hold on to things because it's not someone looking at me would go that it's not practical to do that, to be attached to something, and you're not using it for anything. It's not a tool or an object that that you could use, but you just keep it around because it reminds you of a time that's gone by. So it's an old. Get older, you have more. You have like for me, I've had stuff around me, right? Books and my DVD collection and all that. You know, I have that big Nordic track. I got to move that. I think it's heavy as shit. It's like I don't know what to do. And then I got this place. I got a broom. I got to make it real clean. When I leave this house, it has to be really clean, and there can't be any junk around or clutter. When I list it too, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying when I list it, because I haven't sold it yet. But I have to drill it into my skull that I'm not going to live here anymore. This is not my place. This will be someone else's place, and I need to give this place up. And then be like positive about the sale, and not be so dreading the sale of this place, because I'm like looking at a sale. I'm looking at selling this place, and then I feel like, oh my gosh, this is going to be hard to do. And I have a realtor, but I don't have it listed yet. But I have a contract with a realtor, so it was the realtor that I chose has had up for sale a house that's very similar to this house. It's the same size, the same year built, it's a manufactured home like this. It's got the divider between the kitchen and the living room. And it has like the bathroom in the middle with the laundry area off the kitchen. And that house like has new siding. It's got like all replaced the all the trim's been replaced. It's been recaulked and painted, and it's got a nice front cleared. Everything's really clear around the house, which I'm trying to do on this house. Is rake up really good, and then trim bushes back, cut back old branches, and make things look neater, and take anything that looks like the water. It drips off the rain gutter right on the side of the house, and it drips onto the wood. So what I did is I put a bunch of bricks on the porch between the side of the house, the wall of the house, and the porch. There's bricks all the way along there that keep the rainwater from permeating the wood where the wood contacts the siding and that on that part of the house. So I have all these bricks, and I started taking them apart. I started taking them off because, well, now it's like not raining as much. But when it starts raining a lot, the water hitting the wood, right? When it rains hard, the water hits the wood. It breaks the wood apart, right? So when I have bricks around, anywhere the water's dripping, I'll put bricks where to cover the wood, and it looks kind of tacky, but whatever. It keeps my house from deteriorating faster. And that, so where was I going with this? Where was I going with this is like moving, right? So you gotta think about where you're going to, right? There's a new place. You're gonna have a new place you're gonna be living. You'll meet new people. It'll be a new area. It'll be your whole life will change because of that. You won't live in a place where the people you live around, they have a lot of connections. So your neighbors, they have like relatives that live close by, and they have parties, and you don't go out. So you're not someone that goes to nightclubs or bars and hangs out at places and drinks like that. So I was going to like an AA. I was going to AA meetings for a while. Then I stopped going because it was like it's the same thing, right? They just talk about the same thing. So, and if you ever go to AA meetings, they are only specifically the lingo and the dialogue of the conversations that happen at AA meetings are very specifically geared around the book, the big book, and the 12 by 12 and AA literature. So you got to keep the conversation specifically either on that or on if someone's a newcomer and they have less 30 days, then the meetings are they're more like then someone will talk about their own experience they have and the strength they've gotten from the program, and then any kind of mental benefit they have as far as they have a more of a brighter outlook on the future than when they were drinking. So if you go to a meeting and you're involved in a meeting, there's this show on Netflix called Louder Milk, and it totally is not what an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting is. When they in that television series Louder Milk, the AA meetings, that during those AA meetings, the person has a conversation here, and then the other person has a conversation here, and then the other person has a conversation here about non-relevant things in alcoholism, or the book, the Alcoholics Anonymous book, or Alcoholics Anonymous literature. So in that show, they don't follow the tradition at all. They don't have like the opening prayer or the ending prayer. They don't have the break. They don't have the is anybody here less than 30 days, and then they give out a chip and all that. So for me, it was a life preserver. Somebody threw me. It was like AA. It was like somebody threw me a life preserver, and I got out of some quicksand, and I met some really nice people. I made a lot of friends, and it was good. And the outing, we had an outing. We all went bowling, right, and that was pretty fun actually. We all went to the bowling alley after the meeting, and then I was volunteering at Heartwood Haven, which is like an animal rescue. So I get there at like 6:37 in the morning, and I'd start cleaning up, and I made some mistakes doing that. I was volunteering, and I should have been more. Well, I can't come on a regular basis. I'll let you know that I'm not going to be there, because there was a lot of they wanted to know if I was going to show up or if I wasn't going to show up. And sometimes I wouldn't feel like going, and I wouldn't go, and I wouldn't, and it was like it became a full-time job. And as somebody that's volunteering, like I didn't want to feel like it was like a full-time job, so I stopped going to that. And I miss it's you're out in these big open pastures, and there's these pigs, right? There's 400 or 500 pound pigs, and I'd be out there carrying these buckets around, and I'd scoop the pig manure in the bucket as I'm carrying the bucket. And I'd scoop pig manure, scoop it up, and then they had it, and there was a pile. There was a pile in the middle of the pig pen of all the pig manure, and then they would let it for a year or a season, and then take it and move it. And I was doing a lot of that. I was cleaning up in the barns, the the uh, the geese and the ducks, and the changing the water, and giving them fresh feed and hay and straw. So I was like replacing the straw in the hen houses and the roosters, where the roosters were. And they had some cows there too, but I hadn't done any work in the barn for the cow, or the pasture for the cows. But it was good. I felt really good there. I really liked doing it while I was there. Um, it just as some of the people that were, one of the persons that was there that was in charge of scheduling and everything, they approached me, and they said, "Hey, you got to, if you're serious about doing this volunteering for our organization here, you need to show up on a regular basis, and let us know if you're not going to be able to show up at least a week before, or give us time. Let them know before, at least a few days, not just the first, not the next day, not the day before." But so I was doing that. I was telling them, I was texting my I'm not going to be there. I was supposed to be there every single Wednesday, and every Wednesday morning. That was on my shift in the morning and I wasn't. So, and now I'll move, and I'll be I'll have my own garden and my own things that I have to do from where I'm going to be living from here to there, because here is just living in a neighborhood. There's no real there's no livestock around here, farms or anything like that. And I'm living where I'm going to be moving to is more near where there's farms at. So it's kind of scary too, because I'm like burning through my savings, and I'm thinking, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I could get um, like a line of credit, right, against just using my collateral, using my equity as collateral, to get just a temporary line of credit, just to finish the development project that I'm working on. And a bank, you would think a bank would be more than helpful to me to get that done. But the ones that keep calling me on the phone, they say, your income, you don't have income, so they hang up right there. It's like, as soon as I tell them how much income I have, they don't know that it's just for a temporary period of time, maybe 6 months to a year, that I'm borrowing that amount of money, and that I'm going to be portioning that money out as I need it. And then once I sell the property that I have here, and use that equity to pay off the construction loan, to pay off the builder, the house, the manufactured home builder, and then any extra things that I got to do, like repairs on the driveway, or different, or to put up a fence or something like that, or a mailbox, and that, and get and completely relocate myself to a different state too. So I got to get another driver's license. I got to get a new post office. Or a new mailing address. I got to get a new phone number. I got to uh, re-register my vehicle in another state, or get another vehicle, and then as I'm going along, as I do each thing, I got to trust the people that I'm paying to help me, that I got to know that they're honest, the business people that are going to be honest with me if I give them money, and they're going to, and that's be a for sure thing, that I'm there. There's no going to be I'm going to find out later on, oh my gosh, I didn't know, I should have done that. I don't want to reach a point where I look in hindsight, I go, I should have, why didn't I do that? I should have done that. I don't want one of those moments I want to make sure everything happens in such and such a way as to as to be able to navigate my way around any kind of anything that was unexpected like that, especially extra expenses, more expenses that I wasn't counting on, that weren't in the original bid or weren't in the part of the contract for what I was going to purchase. And I'm already into it, right? So I'm so far into it that if I can't back out of it, and I can't stall it either. If I stall it, then I'll lose the whole plan revolves around that specific house, that one specific house that's already built. All of my plans and permitting is designed is to match that. And if I don't get it, then it's all mismatched, and I got to go get re-permits again, go through the permitting process again for a different layout of the building, and it's how it attaches to the ground, and how the size of it, or the weight, or having it to order something in the future that's going to cost more money. Than something that's already built, that's got all these components in it, right? That's a big thing that has a lot of parts, pieces to it that took to make it. And when you buy something that was already made, then it's priced in at when that was built, the all of the supply chain and the economics that went in to make that, the costs, the breakdown of all the costs of all the components and the labor that went to make that, is priced in at 2023 or 2022 dollars, not $2025. So if I bought that same thing and it was ordered at a factory, it would be like, now it's got to be delivered further away because the sales lot is like 500 miles away from where they're building where they're manufacturing the home is. But the one I'm buying is already manufactured, so it's already there in the sales lot. So yeah, I guess I'm just going to have to keep a stiff upper lip and keep my nose to the grindstone and move forward with the project. And I hate that I have to ask relatives for money, to borrow money from relatives. And they know I'm good for it, right? They know it's that, or use credit cards, to partially pay for something that should have been done with a loan, right? And a regular, like a construction loan, which is interesting. It's 8%. So it's 8% for a construction loan. And then it's, so I would be sunk if I didn't have close family members that help me do this project, because I'm getting a lot of help from family that reside in the area that I moved to, that I'm having the construction project completed at. And it wasn't even a bare land. It was actually, there was an existing older mobile home already on the property. And then, so it had the connection to a septic tank. It had a septic tank. It had a leach field. It had a connection already there to the main power, to a power pedestal, the meter box. It already had a connection to water, a water line to a well house. It already had a drilled well. It had a shed building on where the well house is. It needs to be rebuilt, but it had a garage without a garage door, and it's on 3 acres. And I'm like, well, it's like a lot of the work's already been done, because a lot of times, a lot of people will try to buy bare land. They'll just go out somewhere. They'll find a piece of land, and that piece of land never had a house built on it before. doesn't have a driveway to it through it. It doesn't have any buildings that are there. It doesn't even have a shed building. It doesn't even have anything there. It's just bare land. There might be power lines on the road, and it might be a distance from the main road to get to the property. That's on a really bumpy, really unimproved road. That's a dirt gravel road that's really bumpy. So you're trying to buy land and then develop the land in that and do that, and do it brand new septic, drill a well, put in electrical wiring in a trench, and do the septic and all the drain field for the septic, and do all that brand new, right, from scratch. No. This place was like all that was already done. So that was like God, man. I mean, if I don't jump on this, and I'll miss out. I really would have missed out. But now I got it, so it's just like I got to finish the project. I can't get scared, and I can't back out of how far I've gotten so far. There's to back out now would be like I would be just like really like, really regret that. If I back out now and I don't go forward with what I was going to do originally planned, then I'm like screwed, because I've already spent like a lot of money to get where I'm at. To get what I want, where I want it to be put, and all that. So, yeah, if anything at all, I'd be like, I'd have more equity in the when it's finished. I'll have way more equity in it than I had in the beginning to put all the pieces together. So, in theory, I'm thinking this component, that component, that component, that component, merge them together with a pre-existing grandfathered in structure, right? Take a pre-existing piece of property that already had an old house there. It's a tear down, and just replace that, and then all of the permitting and all the connections and everything's already there. So I'm not doing like a raw land purchase. Like, I kind of was thinking I could do that a few years ago, and I was setting things up, and maybe I was going to do an off-grid place and do like something way out, so it would be real cheap, so I could buy some like acreage that was really cheap, but it'd be like really, really, really far away. It would be more than an hour's drive from where I live, and it would be like, would I ever get there and enjoy the property? If I bought recreational property, would I bother to get in my car and go there and come all the way back and do that regularly? Make something and then develop it eventually. Because I was thinking like I could buy raw land and then do my own septic. I could dig put a well and do all these things. Try to do as much as I can myself, and have it off grid, so where the solar would be enough to charge a battery bank or charge a battery. The battery would run an inverter that would handle a refrigerator and a water heater and electric heat and a stove. And I was even thinking of buying one of these wood stoves. It's a combination. It's a wood stove. It has hot plates. It has a compartment that boils water on the side of the stove, and it has a boiler, right? You put water in, and it has like a heat exchanger, like a boiler unit that's attached to it. You heat it up. So when you're cooking, when you put wood in the wood stove, this is what happens. You cook, you bake, you can heat water for like a shower or a bath, and you can and you have another heater that's like a steam that runs a coil through it, and it heats it up, and it uses steam, all connected to your oven, to your stove. So if you go off grid, you don't need you could do everything if you have a lot of wood, which it's funny, I have a lot of wood here. I'm on the grid, so whoever lives here in the future will have lots of firewood. See that there? Yeah, that. wood stove there. That stove pipe goes down to that, and there's the wood stove is right there. I don't know why it's doing it. It's right, yeah, there. See that metal there? My finger's pointing. It's a wood stove. It's a big compartment too. It takes a lot of wood. It's not an EPA rated stove. It just has a compartment, and then it's got the flue, and that's all to code. So the end pipe that goes to the ceiling, and that is to code. And but the wood stove itself is custom built. And it does a good job. It heats the house. My problem is it's too much, like it's too smoky. And if I absolutely have to heat my house because it's so cold or the power goes out, then I love that thing. I love life with having that when the power goes out in the middle of winter time. Boy, I'm loading wood into that right and left and keeping that thing going full bore. It's free 25, 30 degrees outside, and the wind's blowing and it's bone cold and my power goes out. If my power went out, then I could rely on that as for emergencies, So basically that's all. That stove is all I'm using it for. Wood stove, all I'm using it for now is emergencies. And it was like one thing I really liked about this place when I bought it is I had that, and I knew I had it there. Whatever happened in the wintertime, there was like assurance that I'll be able to keep my house nice, toasty, warm. And then when my power did go out one year, my neighbor had to go rent a generator. I was like really feeling sorry for her because she didn't have a wood stove in her house. And it was like 2 weeks. The power was like out for like 2 weeks, right? And the snow was on the ground. It was freezing. It was like, oh my God. Well, what happened was years ago, the power lines that ran along the road that serviced the transformer boxes that's underground to my house, those power lines, they were trees that were growing around those power lines got full of snow and ice, and they fell down on the power lines and broke the power lines. So it took a crew some time to get to that because that was happening in a lot of other places around in my area where I lived at when the power went out. So it wasn't just one power outage where I was at. It was power outages all over the place, and they had to get crews out and clear trees off of power lines because the trees had fallen over on the power lines. It was either there was like a heavy snow, and then there was a windstorm, and then there was a heavy snow, and yeah, it's been a while since I come on here and talk, but it's good. It feels good to just talk. Know that there's people out there that just like to hear me. I don't know. A lot of people are anti-natalists, and they are anti-natalists, and I think I could connect with them in a way because they're the way they think about how life was imposed upon them. How we weren't somehow here, we weren't somewhere as someone, and we chose to be at this. It was forced. Nature, the universe, whatever you call it, God, or the powers that be, the super powers of the cosmos, the alignment of all the elemental forces and all that, forced a consciousness to come here onto this planet and live out its life as a human body, as a human being, and have to deal with everything that a human body has to deal with on this planet. And for people to like take it so lightly that they're going to cause another person to come about into the world, and like they look at it like they were going to get a new car, or they were going to take a 4-week all paid vacation to Hawaii, or they were going to get a brand new boat, or have some kind of that they were having a child with the intention of being amused or of having it for them. They want the child for them. So they're wanting another human being to be here, but they're not thinking about that human being that they're bringing here, what they're going to have to go through, from their being an infant to a toddler to being in grade school to growing up, to going through puberty, to having different things happen, to having to go to the dentist, have nightmares, be bullied, be struggle for, or have to work all the time, have things go wrong, have physical maladies, have terrible moments of discomfort in their life, or pain, or anxiousness, or grief, and dealing with loss of pets, loss of loved ones, and struggling and failure, and being crippled, and all the things that could go wrong, being born into poverty or illness, or getting cancer, all these possible things that could go wrong. You're forcing somebody to have to endure through that until their life ends. So you're not just making a baby. You're not just going, I want a baby. Oh, I feel like I want a baby. Oh, I'd love a baby, like a doll, like we're wanting a doll, right? Or to cuddle with and play with, and be like a big daddy to, and have playtime and be like a kid yourself and play with the kid. It's kind of like that. The antinatalist idea was originally thought of as it would have been better if to not exist, or it was a Benatar title of his book, Better to Have Never Been. And the whole thing is that there is no winner, right? There's nobody in the end that wins, because if everybody dies in the end, right? Our lives are all gonna end. So using your reproductive powers to force somebody else to be here, to coalesce and commingle all the element, the DNA molecules, and then someone's here. Now they're having to hear, and they're having to like always think about their own. They're dreading the future, right? So they're always having to think about the future to navigate around challenges and circumstances, and there's bad people out there you got to always be on guard against. You're always having to like physically get exercise and be strong, because you might be out on a parking lot to put groceries in the back of your car, and somebody can come knock you on the back of the head and steal your wallet, or like you get robbed, right? Somebody robs you, or they use technology and they steal money out of your bank account. You're always worried about somebody that seems to be a professional person that you could trust. They appear to be somebody that's trustworthy and honest, but underneath they're that really. If they could scam you and cheat you, they would do that if they knew they could get away with it. So you're always on guard and vigilant about circumstances and situations like that, especially when you get older. And you're wholly reliant on yourself, right? So you don't have a partner that's there that's, oh, honey, why blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't do this. This is not good for us. Oh, yeah, I agree with you, darling. Yeah, we shouldn't do this. This is probably not a good thing to do. I'm glad you brought that up to me and mentioned that to me. And that will like not make me take the high road instead of taking the low road, or taking the low road when I should have taken the high road, or when I should have taken the other road. So all of these things that you have to make day by day on a decision tree, go this way or that way. So you get to box A or box B, you got to make a decision. And if you have a partner, if you have somebody that's working with you that you're married to, you're in a relationship with, you have that extra support, and not only emotional support, but intellectual support and backing, as somebody that's looking over your shoulder, that has your best interest at heart, and that's not that you have your whole trust in, and you're married. So you married them and you have trust in them, and not being fearful about your future because you have a partner, or you have somebody that's helping you out, that's keeping you from helping you navigate around making the wrong decisions and making the right decisions.